Coming up on UB Football Insider with Lance Leipold, it's Brunch with the Bulls. We'll get you ready for the 11:30 a.m. kickoff with the Akron Zips. You'll meet the big man in the middle of the Bulls defense. We'll go driving around in cars with the Bulls quarterbacks coach. We'll have our top 5 plays and our Karuba collisions. It is time to wake up. It's an early morning game for the Bulls. We'll get you ready. It's UB Football Insider.
There's fire in the atmosphere, moving in synergy, this electricity.
Every day we work to get stronger. This is how we come together. This is how we fight. We are UB.
We are the power, we are the change.
And welcome to UB Football Insider with Bulls head coach Lance Leipold as we get you ready for kickoff between the Bulls and the Akron Zips. Coach, in less than an hour, an 11:30 a.m. kickoff, radio-wise, ESPN 1520, TV on CBS Sports Network. Do you have your early morning breakfast pep talk speech ready to go?
I'm going to have to, that's for sure. And I think it's an exciting time. You know, I think guys, you know, a lot of times you sit around for a night game and playing under the lights is special, but sometimes just getting up in the morning, getting the ball kicked off is also special.
It's a key game for the Bulls as they start their stretch of the final 4 games of the regular season, and key games for some key players that have emerged for you this season. And amazing to think that here we are with 4 games left to go in the season, and linebacker Khalil Hodge is only 10 tackles away from the school FBS record for a single season as he remains tied for the national lead. Pretty amazing season and performance by him this year.
Yes, Khalil's had a great year to this point, and he's played well, and I think the guys in front of him and around him have continued to help him do so. He's you know, as we said, he's a leader. He's highly motivated. He's studying more film than he ever has, and you're seeing the results.
Yeah, and you've got a player on your offense that is amongst the national leaders as well, too, and we've talked about wide receiver Anthony Johnson's amazing season all year, but here he is, continues to be in the top 5 in the country in total receiving yards, tied for the MAC lead in touchdown catches. He had another strong performance last week against Miami. What's the next? What do we continue to think we're going to see from number 83?
I don't know. Each week he does something that kind of amazes us, but he's continued to play well, and the thing that impresses us even the most about it is because now he's not unknown. You know, there's a lot of film on him, and he's still producing at a high level, and he'll have a big challenge again today.
Well, it will be a big challenge with the Akron Zips, who are tied for first place in the MAC East with a 3-1 record. They have a big play offense that we've seen plenty of over the years, and the trigger to that big play offense is senior quarterback Thomas Woodson. Earlier this year at MAC Media Day, we caught up with Zips head coach Terry Bowden to talk about his quarterback.
Well, if he's healthy, you got to say put him back where he was and see what happens. We've got great competition, but he's been under fire. He's been under pressure. He's won big games. He runs our offense well, and he adds enough running game because of his ability to run power, not really outrun people, but run some power that adds to the whole thing. So him being healthy means that if somebody beats him out, we're pretty dang good. If they don't, if he's healthy and ready to go, then we saw a lot of wins out of him 2 years ago as it took us to our bowl victory.
Well, Woodson's a senior coach. He started all 8 games this season, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Sometimes he's as much a threat in the running game because he's a big, powerful kid as he is in the passing game. What's the key to slowing him down today?
Well, one thing is we got to get a pass rush on him. You know, when he stands in the pocket, he's got an extremely strong arm. He can make all the throws. We've got to be able to make him move around and not let him get comfortable.
You know, they've got some good wins in the Mid-American Conference, do the Akron Zips, including a win over Western Michigan a couple weeks ago, the week after the crazy overtime game here. They've beaten Ball State and BG. They're also coming off a rather disappointing loss to Toledo. So what can you make of a bit of an up-and-down season for Akron?
Well, it's still a very solid football team. Coach Bowden does a great job. An extremely athletic team, a lot of speed on both sides of the ball, you know, in the secondary and the receiver core. So it'll be a good challenge. They've had a very challenging schedule. They played a very good Troy State team and lost a very close game there. So challenging non-conference schedule like many of us have, and they've done very well in conference so far.
Yeah, the same Troy team that beat LSU. They've also lost to Penn State and Iowa State, obviously 2 Power 5 schools also. You know, Akron is always an interesting team when you play them. 2 years ago, they had the upper hand at Akron. Last year, you guys clearly had the upper hand, kind of rolled over them here. Is that odd for you as a coach to have looked back at two drastically different games?
Well, I think it goes to show that you don't know what happens on any given day. I would say Saturday, but we play on so many different days of the week, you can't say it. But on that day last year, we probably played our best football of the season that night, and our guys were really ready to play and played well in kind of a dreary night. And we went there the year before in kind of a drizzly day, and we were pretty flat, and they played well as they went on to go to a bowl game. So it'll be a big challenge, and we got to be ready to play our best.
I think something that's interesting about looking at Akron this year is that the stats may not tell you a lot, but they're really good in the red zone. They're one of the better teams in the MAC at intercepting passes. They're good at creating turnovers, and so it's always a good lesson for all of us that sometimes the yardage stats don't really tell the story.
Right, and last year they were really good in the return game and some other things as well. But I think this is probably one of their more balanced teams, at least in my 3 years, between depth at receiver, depth in the backfield, weapons all across the board that kind of make it maybe not as seem as you say eye-catching as what maybe we've alluded to in the past.
So it's the Bulls and the Akron Zips. Kickoff again in less than an hour from now, an 11:30 a.m. kickoff this morning. You can hear it on ESPN 1520. You can watch it on the CBS Sports Network. Coach and I will come back and talk more about the game. But up next, we talk about the big guy in the middle, the man in the middle for the Bulls on defense. Defensive tackle Chris Ford. He's the subject of our focus when we return to UB Football Insider with Lance Leipold, presented by ECMC.
Midweek football returns to UB Stadium on Tuesday, November 7th when the Bulls host the Falcons of Bowling Green. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Where else can you see amazing touchdown catches?
Hangs it up deep into the end zone. Jump ball caught. Touchdown!
And gritty defensive plays.
Looking to throw. He is rushed. Sacked!
You won't want to miss midweek action here at UB Stadium. For tickets and more information, call 877-UB-THERE or visit UBBulls.com.
Welcome back to UB Football Insider. This segment is presented by CEFQ, changing lives every day.
Welcome back to UB Football Insider with Lance Leipold. My name is Paul Peck. In the middle of the Bulls defense is senior defensive tackle Chris Ford. He's having an outstanding season. As a geography major, we don't need to tell him that today's game against Akron will come just outside his hometown of Medina, Ohio. And as a geography major, he knows it's very simple. It's a straight line to the quarterback. Let's meet the Bulls' big man in the middle.
Chris Ford, number 58 for the UB Bulls, and I play nose guard. I was going to a lot of camps. They would do like ratings where they tell you like your probability to go Division I, or like they'd stack your numbers up against other kids that had got a scholarship. And my numbers were just as good, if not better, in some areas. I was at a camp in Ohio. I was doing great the whole camp. I had a 5 flat 40, 4.9 shuttle. I was doing real well. And we had one-on-ones at the end. Tried to work a move. I was beating the kid, and he wasn't too happy about it. Kind of cheap shot me, ended up, tearing my ACL. That happened right before my senior season. Different schools were coming up to me saying, like, give me this, give me their emails, phone numbers. Oh, we want you to come do 225 tests. We want you to come do a 40. We want you to come do this, come to our camp. And UB was the only place that called me instead of email. They called and they were like, we want you to come take a visit. We want to meet your family. And that kind of stuck with me a little bit more. They wanted to see who I was and how they approached me. I appreciated that. So that was a big reason for why, I chose the school.
He's allowed us with his intellect to be able to do whatever we want to do, from a 3-down system to a 4-down system to movements we does. To play that position, you definitely got to be an unselfish guy, and that's what he's done and what he's been able to do. He's a guy, he's the grinder. A big tough guy, not only he's a smart, intellectual big tough guy, so he can do some things to help himself by knowing how to play the position. Usually
average play for me is guard coming straight at me, engage with him, and then either a tackle from the right or the center from the left. It's just coming down and either trying to double team me or hit me on the hip. It's really my job to stay in that gap as long as possible and get moved the least amount. My game has elevated to the point to where now when I'm out there, I could make plays without making the play. I could take on two people or disrupt something in the backfield. It gives me more, I would say, pleasure seeing my teammates do something off of an effort that I helped. It's fulfilling. Like when you do it, you did your job, and we get that third and one stop or that fourth and one stop. It's so much energy that flows. It's probably one of the best feelings. Like if I had to say anything, that'd probably be the reason why I play, is those moments right there.
Any good defense, Lance, needs those big bodies in the middle. Whether they make a lot of tackles or a lot of sacks is almost irrelevant to the fact that they tie guys up to free other players to make those big plays. Is that a little bit of what Chris Ford's game has gone to this year?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think Chris has had an outstanding year. He's from the time he came back second semester last year, I think he's been kind of on a mission to make this his last year a great year for himself. He's prepared. He's watching film. He's playing at a high level. You know, he missed the Western Michigan game, and I think some of the effect of their success, not take away from what they do, but I think that hurt us a little bit that day.
And I think his play has allowed his teammate on the other defensive tackle spot, Justin Brandon, to make a little more of those flashy plays.
Yeah, I think they work well as a tandem. They're both unassuming guys, and they just get in there and do what defensive tackles should do, is to get in the trenches and make plays and tie up people, which has allowed Khalil Hodge to have the kind of years he's having as well.
Yeah, and as we talked about the outstanding year for Khalil Hodge in the first segment, he'll be the first to tell you and thank those guys in the middle. You know, the defensive ends have also been a much improved unit on this team. Chuck Harris is among your leading tacklers, leading sackers. Damone Harris is having an outstanding senior year, and the depth that's come up behind them. Talk a little bit about what you're getting from the rush guys.
Well, you mentioned Chuck and Damone Harris, both playing extremely well, both very mature in what they're going about, their weekly preparation. That's what I really love to see, and how they've matured and grown in the game, and you see the results on game day. And then Miles Nicholas, Malcolm Kuntz, two players that are playing in the backup role. Miles, again, a player who's been in the program a few years now, continues to get better, and again, through that time and development, he is adding some contributions to that group.
You know, I know on my list that I go into the games with to be ready for the radio broadcast, my list of defensive linemen is flying off the bottom of the page. You're playing sometimes 12 defensive linemen in a game. Is that part of the plan?
Well, it is, because you want to keep guys fresh. We mentioned the two big bodies as we started this segment, is that, again, if you keep them out there too long, they're going to wear down. We want to try to keep guys fresh. So between rotating, whether it be TV timeouts, regular timeouts, we try to calculate how many times those guys are there and how much rest they're getting. And if we can get a few other guys in there for a few snaps to spell them, that's what we're going to do.
And it's something for fans to watch, whether they're at the stadium or on TV. Sometimes you will swap all four guys out at once. So sometimes I'll notice all four big bodies running right off the sidelines.
And that's sometimes on a snap count. Sometimes during a drive, it's going too long, we'll try to get some fresh bodies in. Sometimes we'll try to do it on the front end of a series too, for a guy to give him a little extra rest than he had, and then get him back out there. So we're going to look at all areas that we try to keep each guy within a certain range by the end of the game.
All right, got to have the big bodies playing well up front. They will be a key for today's game between the Bulls and the Akron Zips. Again, an 11:30 a.m. kickoff that you can hear on ESPN 1520 and you can watch on the CBS Sports Network. Good luck today, Coach. Should be a fun one, an early one, but should be a lot of fun at Akron.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bulls head coach Lance Leipold getting you ready for today's game against Akron. When we come back, we will have our always popular Coaches and Cars segment. We'll see how QB's coach Jim Zabrowski can do behind the wheel of a town BMW. That's when we return to UB Football Insider.
Midweek football returns to UB Stadium on Tuesday, November 7th when the Bulls host the Falcons of Bowling Green. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Where else can you see amazing touchdown catches?
Hangs it up deep into the end zone. Jump ball caught. Touchdown!
And gritty defensive plays.
Looking to throw. He is rushed. Sacked!
You won't want to miss midweek action here at UB Stadium. For tickets and more information, call 877-UB-THERE or visit UBBulls.com.
Welcome back to UB Football Insider. This segment is presented by Town BMW, the official auto partner of UB Athletics.
Welcome back to UB Football Insider with Lance Leipold. In less than an hour, the Bulls will kick it off against the Akron Zips. 11:30 is when the game gets started. You can hear it on ESPN 1520. You can see it on the CBS Sports Network. Well, it's time for our Coaches in Cars segment. We've chosen quarterback guru Jim Zabrowski to try out one of the real horsepower specials at Town BMW.
So you know what this is?
I know it's a pretty sweet car.
So BMW makes a 3 Series. Then they make the M3. What they do is they take an M3 chassis.
Okay.
They give it racing suspension, big wide tires, big wide hips, racing brakes. We got monoblock forged wheels. So this is forged from
I feel like
singular.
I'm in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Sweet. I just love the sound.
Isn't that awesome?
That is.
This is what made BMW something special.
This is?
This is.
There you go. You have to go gear to gear that now?
Yeah. It's so smooth.
It's so smooth.
The steering is unbelievably responsive.
Unbelievably responsive. Maybe I should have been a driver, but maybe, because that is freaking all out there. Maybe I just have never done it. So this is the car that kind of made BMW, huh?
This is the car that
did it.
That did it.
It's time now for the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by ECMC. The difference between healthcare and true care. Number 5.
Van Trees in the pocket, gets the shotgun snap in the pocket, throws across the middle, it is caught. KJ Osborne first down. Inside the 10, down to the 7, 18-yard gain on the first catch of the day by Osborne. Bulls coming right to the line.
Number 4.
Big play here for the Bulls, 3rd down and 10. Van Treese in the pocket, got time, hangs the ball up down the near sideline, and in Holsey gets the ball and makes the catch. Inside the 15, he had to jump up and around the defender, but Kamani Holsey hauls it in.
That is the best play on the ball in the air that I have seen him make since he's been here at Buffalo.
Number 3.
Onside kick attempt for the Bulls with 2:52 to go in the game. Deween looks like he's gonna kick it. Let's see. And Deween, no. Mitchison, yes. Bounces. It's loose, and the Bulls may have gotten it. Who else but Anthony Johnson after the ball popped up in the air.
Number 2.
Doesn't matter, the Bulls get the touchdown on the throw from Van Treese to Tyler Mabry. Flags all over the field, and it will be a Buffalo touchdown. Kyle Van Treese to Tyler Mabry for the Buffalo score with 2:52 left to go in the game.
Number 1.
Van Treese looking to the left, looking left, throwing to the left, towards the end zone, caught, bullseye! That's a Buffalo touchdown. AJ with the UB TD.
Johnson shows again that no one in this conference can cover him. Locked in man-to-man coverage, the ball is thrown up, and he just comes down with it as he has done every other time this year.
For nearly 100 years, ECMC has brought hope and healing to Western New York. I'm living proof, and I couldn't be more grateful. Like cancer, we all hope trauma will never happen to us. But when it does, we can rely on ECMC to always be there. I hope you join me to be there for them and help them build their new state-of-the-art trauma center and emergency department. Visit supportecmctrauma.org to help learn how you can support life-saving care.
This is UB Football Insider, presented by ECMC, the difference between healthcare and true care.
Welcome back to UB Football Insider with Lance Leipold. My name is Paul Peck. Coach and the players know it's important to give back to the community, and they do that on a regular basis. Well, recently, a number of Bulls players paid a visit to Heim Elementary School in Amherst.
Get your hands together!
It was fun to see the energy out of these guys. You know, just going out there and being, you know, using our platform that we have such a positive influence on these kids. They were so happy to see us. So it's just good to get a positive message to those guys about reading.
We did not only meet last year's goal, but we beat last year's goal by 20 more journals. So let's give ourselves a cheer.
Reading is the foundation of education in my eyes. You know, everyone knows that you can open a book and find almost anything, and I think it's good to be able to help them realize that that's the foundation, not just for, you know, elementary school, but all the way through middle school, high school, and college, even in life. You know, it's important. So it's good to have that foundation.
And growing up, my favorite book to read was Captain Underpants. Who likes Captain?
Being able to talk to these kids and, you know, seeing their reactions when we tell them what books we like to read and, you know, all this other stuff, it really, it fills you with some sort of energy, you know, because I remember when I was young and, you know, older kids would come and talk to me and my class, and I always remembered those. So, you know, knowing that we have an impact on them, knowing that, you know, they're going to probably remember this for a long time, it's a great feeling.
You know, if someone like a student athlete came back and talked to me, then, you know, it would really impact me in a way that would have affected me for the rest of my life. So I think it's nice that we're able to do that for these kids.
It's time for our Karuba Collisions of the Week, with Bulls linebacker Khalil Hodge tied for the national lead in tackles. We knew there's a pretty good chance he'll be in this week's Karuba Collisions.
Here are this week's Karuba Collisions.
From the 8-yard line, ball, handoff, stretch play run to the right side for Alonzo Smith, and he's drilled and brought down for a loss. Good pursuit by the Bulls to get over there, and a nice play made for UB. The Miami Redhawks from the 38, handoff, and drilled in the backfield. Jarrett Franklin all over the running back, Alonzo Smith. It's going to be a loss back to the 41. Second down now, 2nd and 8 from the 32-yard line with 9 minutes to go in the game. Handoff to Smith again. This time he stood up. There's Khalil Hodge. A classic Khalil Hodge middle linebacker hit as he stood up the running back after just a 1-yard gain.
Check out the Bulls on social media and choose your favorite Karuba Collision of the Week.
Well, thanks for joining us on this week's edition of UB Football Insider with Lance Leipold. Again, we're just a half an hour away from an 11:30 a.m. kickoff. It's a big game today for the Bulls against the Akron Zips in Ohio. You can hear it on ESPN 1520 and the TuneIn app, and you can see the game on the CBS Sports Network. Enjoy brunch with the Bulls. We'll see you next week on UB Football Insider.